Going rogue once again, but I get the plans ready. My hand steady on the trigger, you may fire when ready. I Badada on the mic, smiling at the chaos. This force is with me, give me one day, I'll come back like...
What's up everybody, Shadow Ninja here, and welcome back to another Rage Quit podcast. The topic of this podcast slash little rant video is going to be the future of Star Wars games as a whole. As you guys know, EA, a couple days ago, they confirmed that they canceled an open-ended, open-world Star Wars game. And that did not make a lot of people happy, naturally, because this project has been in the works for some time now, and it has excited a lot of people that are fans of Star Wars and are also fans of open-world games. And it seemed like this project was doing really well. I heard from a couple of sources that it was going really strong and it was doing really good things, but EA just kind of came in and just shut the whole thing down for some weird reason, and it's honestly very, very disappointing. And we're also going to talk about, what's going to happen in the future for Star Wars games, because honestly, guys, it's not looking very good. I mean, back in 2013, when EA took the exclusivity deal for Star Wars games, which means that only they can make Star Wars games and sell them for real-life currency and stuff like that, that just kind of made a lot of fans lose hope in the whole Star Wars, getting the old games back, like Republic Commando 2, or the Darth Maul game, or, like 1313, those games and stuff like that were canceled because Disney came in, The Force Unleashed 3 even, God, I completely forgot about that game. Disney kind of came in and was like, you know what, we can't have you guys making these games because they're not canon friendly anymore to our canon, and they don't meet our standards, so we need you to shut down your projects, be on your way, and also because only EA and the people who are associated with EA can make these games now, such as DICE, Respawn, etc. And since then, it's been a really rough road for Star Wars games. I know back when they made Battlefront 1 in 2015, it wasn't really received well. It was more or less false advertisement that you could, go in, do all this stuff, relive your fantasies as a Star Wars fan, and it was like you could play 5 maps, you could play like Sullust, Endor, Hoth, and like 2 others, and if you wanted more maps, you had to buy another $50 season pass, which I pre-ordered the game, and I also got the season pass, and it didn't really fill me up as a Star Wars fan. It didn't satisfy me enough. It was a fun game here and there, but it was something, I felt like something was missing, and we all knew what was missing in that game. It was the Clone Wars stuff. Everybody wants the clones, the battle droids. So then they made Battlefront 2. Battlefront 2, I pre-ordered for $80, got, the exclusive skins from The Last Jedi and stuff, because I was really giving them a second chance. I was like, you know what, these guys are going to do it. These guys are giving us all the stuff that we want. I bought the game, I played it for a week or two, I defended it to hell and back. A lot of people were telling me that it wasn't a good game, and that, I'm delusional as a fan to think that it's a great game, and I was like, no, it's a good game, it's going to get better, you just wait. And soon enough, a week or two after I played it, I was just bored out of my mind. I started to see the cracks in the game, I started to see where the fundamentals were broken, and some things didn't work, glitches, the fact that the campaign was only 6 hours long, and even enough, it wasn't really a good story to begin with. It was just kind of slapped together just for the fans that wanted the story in the first game but couldn't get it. So they were just like, here's just a botched story. Here, just take it, I guess. And it honestly felt like a huge betrayal. But Star Wars Battlefront 2 has been getting better over the course of the year and a half that it's been released. And it definitely is the game that it should have been at launch. But is it a little bit too late? Kinda, because you go onto, trailers and stuff like that, you go onto the trailers and videos and news updates and stuff like that, and some people are just very they're not having it. They're just like, dude, like, this game's old, this game's boring, it's done. EA and DICE screwed us over for a second time, and you guys are still defending them, you guys are still, playing this game. And, I mean, to those people that say that, all you can say is, what else are we going to play as Star Wars fans? I mean, you go back to the days of Knights of the Old Republic games, that's awesome, but what if we don't have PCs? I personally want to go back and play Republic Commando, but what if I don't have an Xbox? And I can't even tell you where my old PlayStation 2 is, so I can't go back and play the old Battlefront games and stuff like that. I can play Super Star Wars on my PlayStation 4, I can play Jedi Starfighter on my PlayStation 4 or Bounty Hunter, but those games you can only play for so long. We want to play like real AAA Star Wars games. And that's why we were so upset when we found out that the open world Star Wars game is getting canceled, or is now canceled, because just think about it. Like, what if it was like a No Man's Sky game where you could go to different planets and you could it also had like Assassin's Creed elements where you could like role play and stuff, choose who you want to be in the Star Wars universe. As I say in many videos, that's very, very important to fans because the immersion is what counts the most. You're paying a lot of money for a AAA game so that you can go in, you can be who you want, you can live your fantasies as whoever you want to be in Star Wars. And in an open world game, that the possibilities are limitless of what you could do. And as I said before, a couple sources were saying that the game was going really well. It was in full development and people were, really happy that this game was coming out, and it seemed like it was a turning point for Star Wars games simply because we didn't expect this. Because when EA took the exclusivity deal in 2013, it is now 2019, and all we've gotten so far is Battlefronts 1 and 2, and Jedi Fallen Order is coming out sometime next year. We don't even know when that's coming out. We don't even have a official release date or, hell, even a trailer. But, yeah, it just kind of sucks for people who are fans of Star Wars games right now because we don't really have much to work with. We have Battlefront 1 and we have Battlefront 2. And some people don't like Battlefront 1 or Battlefront 2. I doubt anybody's still playing Battlefront 1 simply because it was just a complete letdown of a game. It just didn't give us what we wanted. It didn't fulfill our satisfactions, and it didn't make us happy as consumers. Battlefront 2, it lost a lot of its fan base in the beginning months of the game because of the whole loot box controversy and the pay to win and the pride and accomplishment bullshit that the devs were trying to push onto us, that you had to spend 30 to 50 hours to unlock Darth Vader, and then you had to spend another 50 hours to unlock Luke Skywalker or Chewbacca or Emperor Palpatine or etc. And the fact that our season, we didn't get a season pass, but we got seasons that kind of tried to rip off For Honor seasons that had you choose between two sides, and then that fell apart because The Last Jedi wasn't even that good, so not a lot of people got excited over The Last Jedi event, and people left the game. And then a year goes by since that very same event, and we get Obi-Wan, Grievous, and Geonosis. And that's a year into it. And I mean, what have we gotten so far in terms of Battlefront content in a year's time? We've gotten Extraction, Ewok Hunt mode, 2 maps, Java's Palace and Bespin, who are already in the game. We got Kessel. We got a couple Clone Trooper skins, couple Rebel skins. And that's pretty much it. Until General Grievous and Obi-Wan came, and so did Geonosis, and the hype was real. Like, a lot of people came back, a lot of people were playing it, but now it's starting to, dissipate. Not a whole lot of players are coming back now. Dooku, Anakin, and crossing my fingers, a conquest mode, an open-ended, non-linear game mode is coming out. But what's going to happen afterwards? I have a huge doubt in my mind that Battlefront 2 is going to be supported well into 2020. I think that they're going to fulfill their obligation, they're going to fulfill their promises, probably make a couple more heroes, make 1 or 2 more reinforcements, make a couple Clone Trooper skins, maybe some Stormtrooper skins here and there, make some maps, make maybe 1 or 2 more maps, and then the game is done. And since Jedi Fallen Order is a single-player game, you can only play that for so long. I mean, if it has multiplayer aspects, if it's a single-player game but on the side it has multiplayer aspects, that would be cool. But from my knowledge, this game, Jedi Fallen Order, is very reminiscent of The Force Unleashed, which it can be a hack-and-slash game where you just go from room to room killing stormtroopers and inquisitors or whatever. Or it could just be, I was kind of hoping that Jedi Fallen Order would be an open-world game where you could go around and it would kind of be like an Assassin's Creed game. You could, do whatever you wanted. You could upgrade your skills and try to evade stormtroopers and stuff, and there would be a bounty hunter system. I just had so many hopes for that, and I'm not shitting on the game. It's not even out yet. But what's going to happen afterwards? And another thing that I want to talk about is the fan-made game that's being made by Star Wars Comics. It's called 1313. He's basically just reviving the 1313 project. He reached out to Lucasfilm and Disney and was like, hey, can I make this? They said yes, just as long as you don't use the Star Wars name and you don't use any specific characters. And I bet you it's going to be 10 times better than Battlefront 2015, I mean. Because when Star Wars when Star Wars is being taken over by such a large corporation, the corporation kind of loses sight of what the fans want. I mean, take example of what Disney's doing right now with the movies, with Disney, Lucasfilm, everybody who's working with the movies. They made The Force Awakens and The Last Jedi. No one really liked The Last Jedi, and The Force Awakens was because it was very reminiscent of A New Hope. Then they made Rogue One, fantastic movie. And then they made Han Solo, was a really good movie, even though it was extremely underrated because no one really wanted it. And then Star Wars Theory makes a fan film, a 16-minute Darth Vader movie, cost $100,000 to make, didn't even have the amount of money that Lucasfilm and Disney has to make these movies. Lucasfilm and Disney have millions of dollars at the disposal, and this guy used $100,000 and made a 16-minute video about Darth Vader that was better than the entire 2.5-hour-long Last Jedi movie. Disney doesn't really know what the fans want, honestly, and the people that they choose to write their stories and stuff, it's just really bad on their part. And but that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the video game aspect. It's kind of the same, because when they gave the exclusivity rights to EA and the people affiliated with EA, they kind of knew what they were getting into. The FIFA games, every single year there's a new FIFA game, and no one really likes those. It's a copy and paste. The Battlefield games are starting to get repetitive as well. I mean, you look at Battlefield 5, and it's literally just a copy and paste of Battlefield 4 and Battlefield Hardline mixed together, and they shout out a game that was just put in World War II, and the game is boring. There's 7 maps, there's 4 guns per class. I have everything maxed out in the game. I haven't touched it in 3 weeks. Even since the podcast when I went over and made my re-rating. I haven't played it since then, and that was a long-ass time ago, and I'm not planning on going back, because I feel like Battlefield 5 and Battlefront 2 are very, very similar. It's just Battlefront 2 is Star Wars, so people are playing it. A lot of people are playing it because it's a Star Wars game. If Battlefront 2 had a Battlefield skin, that game would have been dropped a long time ago. No one would have even cared if they took out the loot boxes and stuff. They would have just completely shot on the game, give it a 1 out of 10 on IGN, and move on. And that just would have been the end of Battlefront 2. But Battlefront 2 is Star Wars, so a lot of more effort is being put into it because the fans are dedicated. Fans are desperate to play a good Star Wars game. And frankly, we haven't had a really good one. Say what you will about Battlefront 2, say that it's getting better and stuff like that, and I agree with you. Battlefront 2 is getting a lot better, and it is better. It's a complete disconnect from what it was back in early 2017. They did a lot of cool quality of life changes, added 2 new heroes and a couple new maps that are fun, I guess, but it's just not enough to some players. And some players are still even thinking that the loot boxes are still in the game. That's how much they don't give a shit, because they still, after all this time, the loot boxes situation is dead and gone, but players still think that it's a thing in the game. That's how much players have stopped caring. And I feel like EA, DICE, whoever is working with EA, whoever's currently developing a Star Wars game, needs to get their act together and needs to say, guys, what we're doing right now is not working. Kind of like what I said with Battlefield 5. Because year after year, you make a Battlefield or Battlefront game, the companies start to get burnt out, they start to get tired, they don't care anymore about the product that they're making. I'm pretty sure that there was a lot of love that went into Battlefront 2 and a lot of love that went into Battlefield 5. But for some people, some fans, some really hardcore fans, it just isn't enough when you give us a half-assed product and then work on it later over and over again. And now a year later, it's now what it's supposed to be. And going back to the open world Star Wars game, some people are saying on YouTube and stuff that the reason why EA shut it down was because they probably couldn't find a way to microtransaction it or make something, because single-player games are very challenging to make microtransactions. You can do what Shadow of War and Assassin's Creed do it. You can have in-game currency packs. You can have costume packs, which I'm sure there are going to be costume packs in Jedi Fallen Order, kind of like in The Force Unleashed when they had different costume packs and stuff like that you could buy online, which that's okay. But if you're going to shut down an entire game, an entire open-world Star Wars game that people are going to love and people are going to buy the shit out of, you're going to allegedly shut it down because of the lack of microtransaction usage, That's just very scummy, and that's not anybody else's fault but EA, because EA was the one that went in, put the hammer down, and said, no, shut this thing down. It really does suck, and there's nothing we can really do as fans right now, but as I'm saying in this podcast, the future of Star Wars games is unknown right now. If you take a look before EA got the exclusivity rights, we had a lot of games within a 6-year time period. Bounty Hunter, Battlefront 1, Battlefront 2, The Knights of the Old Republic, Republic Commando, Jedi Starfighter. We had a lot of good games, and now you look, because that was like those games that I just listed and many more. I'm forgetting a lot more, but all those games were in like a 6-year time period. Just think of that. Like several games, maybe up to like 10 games, 10 Star Wars games. All the Star Wars games that you guys love right now, all the oldies, those were made within a 6-year time period within each other. They were all really good games. Now you look at the exclusivity deal from 2013 to 2019, that's a 6-year time frame, guys. And the only games that have been made so far, Battlefront 1, Battlefront 2, and Jedi Fallen Order, which isn't even out yet. It's probably still in development for all we know. But that was my little spiel. That was my little rant. I kind of went all over the place, but tell me what you guys think in the comments. Do you think that Star Wars games as a whole are just going really downhill, or do you think that there is some hope left and that you guys are just going to wait it out a little more and see what happens? I am very disappointed that the open world Star Wars game is canceled, but at the end of the day, EA can do whatever they want to do. Tell me what you guys think. I'm pretty sure a lot of you that are watching this right now are disappointed in the fact that we were probably going to get like this huge expansive open world Star Wars game, and now that it's getting shut down, and it makes us pretty worried for the future. Like, what if Jedi Fallen Order gets canceled? You know, we may never know. We don't know right now. But anyways, guys, thank you for watching this video. Thank you for the recent support and the recent subs that we've been getting. We're growing a little bit more since our couple last videos, and I thank you guys for that. As I said before, thank you guys for watching. Thank you for subbing. Thank you for voicing your opinions down in the comments, and I will see you guys on the next one.